For World Whisky Day this year, we wanted to encourage as many new people as possible to discover the delights of the dram.
Yeah, and to hopefully inspire the next generation of whiskey drinkers, we asked whiskey lovers exactly what it is they love about whiskey, if there was a dram that really kicked it all off for them, and really what kind of helped kickstart that love.
Yeah, so we thought we'd better begin by sharing our own whiskey stories with you guys. Rosebank Flora and Fauna, which I don't think is even available anymore now. And I remember just thinking, wow, if this is beginners, what else have we got to look forward to? And it was just absolutely incredible. I was hooked from then. What about you?
Tasty dram. I think like many people, I remember raiding Dad's cabinet.
Sure, such good children.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember drinking the Freud, first of all, the classic 10-year-old, and just loving the fact that it was this weird, big, unusual flavour.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing considering how strong it is for being so young as well.
Absolutely. But I think it was the fact that it was a recognisable flavour, and I enjoyed it straight off the bat. It's still one of my favourites today. So.
Yeah, I think the smell actually, thinking about when I was small, it was definitely a smell of childhood, like the smell of peat, on holidays in Ireland and Scotland.
Sure.
I like the smell a lot more than the taste though when I was little.
For me, when I first got into whiskey, I was looking to try lots of different things. Being able to see different whiskies on the back bar and different pubs and clubs, realising that they all had a very different flavour and style to them. I guess it became a bit of a hobby, ticking them off the list as I went along.
Yeah.
I kind of got hooked that way.
I just began reading a few books, sort of getting really interested, and then once I started going on distillery trips and things like that, it was just like magic. It was like Disneyland for me. So.
Sure.
I think the main thing that I really love is the vast flavour profiles that it has. I think just in comparison to other spirits, vodka is fairly simple, gin it's a certain range of botanicals, and even when you come on to things like bourbon and rye, you kind of have wood, caramel, salt, there's things that come out, but it's always within a certain range of flavours. Whereas with whiskey, you've got everything from seaweed to strawberries. You've got just such a huge flavour profile, and also within all the different regions as well. So for me, it just makes it kind of the number one, I think.
Yeah.
What about you?
I guess what I love about whiskey, or one of the things that I love about whiskey, is the heritage and the tradition that comes along with it. Obviously, every distillery has its own background and its own story. And I think specifically when we're talking about Scotch whiskey, there's that kind of patriotic side to it as well. I think my light bulb moment was probably the first time I had a tasting at a distillery.
Yeah.
So Glengarry, relatively close to my hometown of Aberdeen, going out there, doing a wee tour, fantastic little tour, and then being able to taste the whiskey that you've seen in production. I think that for me really solidified what whiskey can be and all the tiny little intricacies that go into creating the perfect dram.
So I think I'm going to go for the Open 14 for a newcomer. It's not got a strong peated flavour, which even though some people love can be a bit off-putting if it's not really your cup of tea. So It's like starting with something that's a bit softer, quite a lot of caramel, sort of a hint of the salt, I suppose, from the seaside. But fairly sort of neutral, so it'll kind of allow people to kind of come in and begin. And then obviously you've got a great distiller's edition of the 14. So if you want to get into it a little bit more, maybe try something that's a little higher ABV and slightly richer, it's great.
I think the one whiskey that I tend to recommend more often than not for new whiskey drinkers would be the Glendronach 12-year-old. It is relatively soft, it doesn't have too much heat from the alcohol. But it's also got a lot of those recognisable sweet flavours.
Yeah.
So caramel, sticky toffee pudding, really quite a rich...
You're making me crave one right now, actually.
I think when you're first starting out with whiskey, it's important to remember the fact that you should drink it how you want to drink it. And if that means maybe having it with the right kind of mixer, something to your taste. Personally, I quite like a whiskey and ginger beer, very refreshing, easy going.
Yeah, me too.
Or in the right cocktail. Something for me like an old fashioned, which is easy to make at home. Yeah, when you're just starting out on your whiskey journey, that's a nice starting point without going too hard.
Yeah, for sure.
I reckon you're probably going to go classic though, right?
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, I mean, the old fashioned was my first like real whiskey cocktail that I used to drink when I went out to a bar. But I do always think it's important to kind of stick with the classic as well. So, you know, just trying your whiskey, neat tulip glass, proper release of the aromas, and then a dash of water. And that will really, really, I think people don't realise how much the water can affect the flavour. It really opens up the flavour profile. So share your own whiskey story with us and tell us about the light bulb moment or dram when you realised that whiskey was for you.
Yeah, we'd like you to use Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and recommend a whiskey to somebody within your friend group who maybe isn't that big of a whiskey drinker. If you do that, remember and use the hashtag #WelcomeToWhiskey.
Better still, introduce someone to whiskey on World Whiskey Day and let us know what they thought of it.